Winds howled like wolves through the canyons, rain sliced through the dark like shattered glass, and the mountain road became a river of mud and broken branches. Headlights were dim beacons in the chaos, and the black SUV swerved once, then twice, before skidding into the ditch with a sickening crunch. The world fell silent for a moment. Just the hiss of the engine, the flicker of hazard lights, and the terrified breath of a woman clutching the steering wheel, alone, cold, and stuck in the middle of nowhere, miles away from the nearest town. No cell service. No passing cars. Just her, the storm, and a growing sense of panic. Her name was Evelyn Hart, the youngest female CEO in the logistics industry. Powerful, feared, brilliant. But in that moment, none of it mattered. She was a woman stranded in the middle of a storm, with blood trickling from her forehead and no way out. Her driver had been forced to take a detour, then abandon her when the roads became impassable, and now she was alone. Or so she thought. Because not far away, in a rundown cabin nestled on the edge of the forest, a single father named Jack Monroe was rocking his 6-year-old daughter back to sleep. He didn't have much. Just a rusty pickup truck, calloused hands from working odd jobs, and a heart still healing from losing his wife 3 years ago. Life had knocked him down more times than he could count, but he never stopped getting back up, because of Lily. Everything he did for her. If you believe in and the unexpected ways life brings people together. As the storm worsened, Jack noticed the flicker of distant hazard lights on the road, through his fogged-up window. He didn't hesitate. Grabbing his old coat and a flashlight, he kissed Lily on the forehead, tucked her in tighter, and stepped out into the storm. His boots sank into the mud with every step, but he kept going, heart pounding, unsure of what he'd find. When he reached the SUV, he saw her, slumped against the door, shivering, bleeding. He knocked on the window, and Evelyn barely looked up. "Help," she whispered before blacking out. Jack didn't ask questions. He pulled open the door, carried her in his arms through the storm, and drove her back to his cabin, where he laid her gently on his couch, wrapped her in blankets, and tended to the wound on her forehead. He didn't know who she was. He didn't recognize her face from the billboards or the magazines. To him, she was just someone who needed help. Evelyn woke hours later, disoriented and defensive, but Jack's calm voice and gentle eyes softened her. He offered her tea. He let her use his phone, though the power was flickering, and when she learned there was no signal until the storm passed, she sighed, frustrated but grateful. Over the next 24 hours, Evelyn Hart, the woman known in the boardroom as the Iron Queen, found herself in a place unlike anything she'd known. There were no assistants, no Wi-Fi, no glass offices. Just warmth, the crackle of firewood, a little girl with wide brown eyes and a shy smile who drew pictures of the pretty lady Daddy rescued. And Jack, who never pried, never pushed. He just made her soup, gave her space, and smiled when she thanked him. And somewhere in that quiet, something cracked open in Evelyn. She told him little pieces, how she'd built an empire, how success had become survival, how she'd lost friends, time, even love along the way. Jack listened without judgment. And when Lily curled up in her lap and fell asleep, Evelyn blinked back tears she hadn't let fall in years. Jack, on the other hand, never imagined the woman in his cabin was his boss. He worked as a part-time contractor for a subsidiary of her company, unloading freight at night to make ends meet. Her name was on his paycheck, but he never thought he'd meet her. And even if he had, he'd never expect her to be like this. Human, wounded, kind. When the storm cleared the next morning, Evelyn stood on the porch, looking out at the sunrise. Jack offered to drive her to town, but she hesitated. "Can I stay one more day?" she asked quietly. She stayed too. They made pancakes. Evelyn helped Lily with a puzzle. Jack showed her the greenhouse he was building behind the cabin, a dream he had to grow organic produce for local markets. She laughed more in those 2 days than she had in years. And Jack felt something stir that had been buried since his wife passed. Hope. But reality returned quickly. When Evelyn's assistant finally reached her and a black car arrived at the cabin, the illusion shattered. Lily clung to her leg. Jack stood back, unsure. Evelyn turned to them, her face unreadable. "Thank you," she said. But then she stepped into the car. No goodbye hug. No number left behind. Just the wind as the door shut. Weeks passed. Jack returned to his routine. He didn't expect to hear from her. Maybe it had just been a moment. Fleeting, like the storm. But Lily kept asking, "When will the pretty lady come back?" And then, one evening, Jack was called into the regional office. He was being considered for a special project. A greenhouse initiative sponsored by the CEO herself. Confused, he entered the boardroom, and there she was, Evelyn Hart. In a tailored suit, hair perfect, eyes sharp. But when she looked at him, her face softened. She stood. "Mr. Monroe," she said, voice steady. "I believe we have some unfinished business." The room fell away. Jack felt Lily's small hand in his mind, her drawings, her laugh. And Evelyn. She wasn't just a memory anymore. She was real. Standing there, offering something he never thought he'd receive, opportunity, and maybe something deeper. She had come back. Not just as a CEO, but as a woman who remembered what it felt like to be seen. In the weeks that followed, Evelyn launched a pilot program funding local farmers and single-parent green initiatives. Jack's greenhouse became the first flagship site. She visited often, sometimes in business attire, sometimes in jeans and sneakers, holding Lily's hand, laughing with Jack over coffee on the porch. Their connection deepened, not rushed, but real. Built on gratitude, on shared silences, on seeing each other clearly. And when Lily asked Evelyn one night, "Are you going to be my new mommy?" Evelyn wept, because deep down, she wanted to say yes. By the end of the year, Evelyn Hart wasn't just a name on a building. She was part of a family. And Jack, once a man quietly enduring life, found himself living again, not just surviving, but loving, growing, thriving. So often, the world moves too fast for us to notice the miracles hidden in storms. But sometimes, when life forces us off the road, it leads us exactly where we were meant to be.